Have you ever wondered why it feels so bad when someone cuts a queue? You're standing there, waiting for your turn. Maybe at a railway station, maybe at a food counter, maybe outside a hospital room. Everyone is tired. Everyone wants to finish their work quickly. But still, people wait. Then suddenly, one person walks from the side and stands near the counter. And instantly, the mood changes. People start looking at him. Someone gets irritated. Someone says,
"Excuse me, the line starts there."
It's strange. Nobody drew the line. But everyone knows when someone crosses it.
But here's the strange part. He didn't steal anything. He didn't break a door. He didn't attack anyone. He only stood in the wrong place. So why does it feel like he did something wrong? Why does an invisible line feel more real than a locked door? And who decided that the person who arrives first should be served first? To answer that, we have to go back to a time before queues became normal. A time when waiting for your turn was not always the rule. Imagine a crowded marketplace hundreds of years ago. No token number, no barrier, no sign telling people where to stand. Just a seller, a crowd, and something everyone wants. Maybe bread, maybe grain, maybe a ticket. And when many people want the same thing at the same time, one question becomes very important. Who gets it first? For most of history, the answer was not always simple. Sometimes the loudest person got noticed first. Sometimes the strongest person pushed ahead. Sometimes the richest person was served faster. And sometimes it simply became chaos. So the queue did not begin as a boring habit. It began as a solution to a very old human problem.
A line and agreement, nobody signs it. Everyone obeys it.
And that agreement gave society a simple rule. How do you give limited things to many people without turning the place into a fight? The queue gave humans a surprisingly powerful answer. Not the strongest first, not the loudest first, not the richest first, the person who arrived first. That sounds normal today, but it was a huge idea, because suddenly, strangers did not need to know each other. They did not need to trust each other personally. They only needed to trust the order. One person behind another, one's turn after another. A queue looks ordinary today, but hidden inside it is a very powerful promise. For a few minutes, your status does not matter. Your strength does not matter. Your money does not matter. Only your turn matters. And this is why the queue becomes most important in moments of pressure. When food is limited, when seats are limited, when time is limited. Because the more desperate people become, the more society needs a rule that feels fair. And one of the places where this rule became impossible to ignore was outside bakeries, during a time of hunger, fear, and revolution.
Now it doesn't look like patience. It looks like survival.
And that is when a queue stops being boring. When there is enough for everyone, waiting feels annoying. But when there may not be enough, waiting becomes dangerous. Because now the question is not just who gets served first. The question is, who gets served at all? For ordinary people, bread was not just food. It was the thing that kept the day moving. And when it became scarce, the crowd outside that door stopped being just a crowd. It became pressure, hunger, fear. One closed door away from chaos. And yet, they waited, in line, one behind another. Even the word carries that image. Queue, a tail, a human tail outside a door. Because a queue in a moment like this is not just order. It is a fragile promise. If everyone waits their turn, maybe everyone gets a chance. And that is why, even today, when someone cuts a queue at an airport, something ancient inside the crowd wakes up. Think about the first time someone told you to stand in line. Not explained what a queue is, just told you to be in one. Maybe it was outside a classroom, maybe during morning assembly, maybe while waiting for lunch. Stand here. Don't push. Wait for your turn. Move when the person in front moves. Stop when the line stops. At that age, we did not understand society. We did not understand scarcity. We did not understand invisible agreements. But we understood one thing very quickly. If you step out of line, someone will notice.
I don't even remember being taught this. I just remember obeying it.
And slowly, the queue moves from outside our bodies into our bodies. We learn how far to stand, when to move, when to stop, how to wait, even when we are impatient. A school line looks simple, children standing one behind another. But maybe it is one of the first places where society teaches us a powerful lesson. You are not alone here. Your turn matters, but so does everyone else's. And years later, when someone cuts a queue at an airport, you do not need a long explanation for why it feels wrong. Your body already knows the rule. Wait, your turn. So why do humans stand in queues? We did not stand in lines because someone invented a perfect system. We stood in them because scarcity is an old, ugly problem. And a line may be the simplest peace treaty humans ever wrote. Many strangers wanting the same limited thing at the same time. And instead of pushing, fighting, shouting, or using power, the queue gives them one peaceful rule. The person who arrived first goes first. That is it. Simple enough for a child to learn, strong enough to calm a crowd, and invisible enough that we forget how powerful it is. But sometimes the scale of that invisible agreement becomes impossible to ignore. In 2022, after Queen Elizabeth II died, a queue formed in London. It stretched for miles along the River Thames. Some people waited more than a day. Hundreds of thousands of strangers stood one behind another. Not for bread, not for a ticket, not for survival, but for a final goodbye. And at one point, the queue became so large that people had to wait in another queue just to join the queue. It sounds almost funny, but maybe it shows something serious. A queue is not really about standing. It is about agreeing that my turn matters, but your turn matters too. Agreeing that I may be impatient, but I will not make my impatience more important than everyone else. That is why the queue survives. In airports, in schools, outside bakeries, beside rivers, in every place where strangers need to trust each other for just a few minutes. A queue looks like people waiting, but look closer, and it is civilization, standing one person behind another.
To see the world differently is to change it forever. This is just the beginning.